Hinderer clones. They're just about everywhere now. I'm going to go over a couple of the big Chinese Hinderer clones, and then also an American Hinderer clone as well. And before you say that, I'm using that tongue-in-cheek. This is a ZT. I do call it a Hinderer clone. It is under license, of course, from Rick Hinderer, but it's a clone also of a Hinderer, the XM series Hinderers. So I've got a ZT 561. I've got the Kevin John. No, this is a Wild Boar. The Wild Boar. This is an XM-18 type clone with the Sponto type blade, G10 scales. And this is the Kevin John XM-18 clone with a Bowie blade. And you've seen this in a previous video that I did. And this is I'm doing this in 4K, so hopefully I won't have any problems with focus or anything like that. This will be my first 4K video really doing a review. All of these knives are very good. I'll show you the packaging they came in. I don't have the ZT packaging, but I guess everybody's probably has probably seen it. This is the Kevin John. If you're into boxes, this is an attractive box. It's got a magnetic closure on it. It's got a little microfiber type suede kind of cleaning towel. I don't think it's got any logos on it. Yeah, it does. It does have a logo on it, if you can see it. Sort of like a Chris Reeve. It's this Kevin John on there. So that's pretty nice. Nice box if you're into boxes. Now Kevin John, a Chinese company, has made such good knives that that it's a closed cell foam in here, high density foam, very nice foam fitting. That he's kind of being ripped off now by people that say Kevin John on their knives, and also by the Wild Boar people have kind of started copying. They obviously get in their boxes at the same place. I believe this box is almost identical. It's basically identical. It's got a magnetic closure. It's got the same kind of finish. It's got a little different logo. These are different knife companies as far as I can tell. It's also got a high density foam in here. It's a very nice box if you're into boxes. And let's see, there's no writing on it. I've shown you the writing on the Kevin John before. I think it even says XM-18 on here. So S35V. XM-18. And then this was a clone that I had of a ZT 560 clone that I no longer have. I got rid of it. It's in another video where I compared the ZT, the real one, this is real, to the 560 clone. And this was the box it came in. A little different kind of box. It's a open cell kind of foam, and it's still got a magnetic closure on it. It's a similar box, and they're obviously trying to copy the Kevin John box. Who came with all this first? Called Sharp Pointed. That was a very good knife, except it had a sticky lock on it, and I've got a review up on it with the ZT, and it shows the lock issue I had with it. I no longer have it, so I'm not showing it here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the ZT because there's a million people who've got it. It's a fabulous knife for what it is. I think as far as a usability knife, it's this is a knife to fondle and play with and flip. It is not a particularly useful knife, I don't think. I've tried to cut some boxes open with it, stuff like that. The blade is just too thick, and people say, well, it's a heavy use knife. Well, to me, I don't know. I think if I was going out in the wilderness, I'd want something different than this. I don't know what they mean by heavy use knife. If you're someplace, maybe in a warehouse where you're prying staples all day long out of boxes, that would be good, but I use knives to cut with. If I want to pry, I use a pry bar. If I need a screwdriver, I use a screwdriver. So this heavy use thing, this blade is thick. I don't think the grind of the blade particularly is conducive to cutting things and slicing things. So it's a fun knife. It's a well-made knife. Everything about it is finished nice. It's a little bit rough on when you pull it down in here. The reason why I'm not feeling that today is because I've got a pad on my finger to demonstrate these knives. This one is a genuine knife reviewer's Band-Aid. I cut myself on a wicked edge that I was polishing a knife, and it went straight through into the nail bed pretty far and split the nail. It's pretty bad. That was about a month and a half ago, so hopefully about another month the nail will have been grown out. But this is just so I can work these flippers and hit these things without hurting my finger, because some of these are pretty rough, and this one is too. It's better than the 560, but the jimping is still slightly rough on it, so you can live with it. But I still am probably going to end up polishing those down. The flipper itself is smoothed off, and it's not bad. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one. These are the two knives I want to spend a little bit of time on. This one is the Wild Boar. It's a very nice knife. It doesn't cost that much money. It is, I believe, titanium. Let's go in and weigh these three knives. And even though they're not the exact same knife, we're going to just get an idea of the weights here. I don't usually do this, but I thought I would do this on another knife review out today. So, there we go. So the ZT weighs 176 grams or 6 1/4 ounces. Which one is this? This is the Wild Boar, and it weighs 148 grams, 150 about, and it's 5 1/4 ounces. And this is the Kevin John XM-18 Absolute Hinderer ripoff. It's about the same weight. It's 146 grams, and that's 5 1/8 ounces. So they're all, pretty close. And definitely the two XM-18 ripoffs are very close. Let's put this back. Here's the Wild Boar, which is really what I'm reviewing today because I haven't done that. The Kevin John is in the ZT 561 comparison. I covered it quite a bit. This is a superb knife. It is very nice. The jimping is a little bit rough on it, and the other problem I would say that it needs to have addressed is that this flipper is extremely sharp on here. So to flip it, if you have gloves on, it is a superb knife. It just flips open. The lock works nice. It is centered. The blade is in every direction, tight, 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 yet it's very easy to move. You can ease it off of the detent. It's not too heavy. It's a nice knife. The blade is ground really well. The Hinderer logo is ripped off really, really well. If you want to walk around with a Hinderer that's a pretty nice one and you don't want to pay the $800 or whatever ridiculous prices for a real Hinderer are, and you want to get one that's got the logo, it's got the right pivot, the G10 is nice on it, the titanium is real titanium, it's nice quality, it's not stonewash. You could pull this off and have or you could send it away for the price of this knife. You could send it away. This is a little over 130 bucks or so. You could send this off and have it stonewashed and anodized whatever color you want. It's got a titanium clip on it. The action is smooth on it. I think the steel is pretty nice. It's supposed to be D2, even though it says what a Hinderer says, which is S35V N. I notice with my 4K that my focus is not quite as good. S35VN, it's not that. The guy says it's because they just can't get that over there. This is supposed to be D2. This is a superb knife. All these things are flush. They look like they're well made. The standoffs in it are well made. Everything about this knife is quality knife. Nobody can say that it's not. I don't know anything about the metallurgy of this chunk of steel. But, it hasn't rusted. I've had it a number of months, probably 6 months or so. And it is smooth as silk. It could probably be loosened up, definitely could be worked a little bit. It certainly flips better than your average Hinderer. This is a great knife. Polish this off a little bit. These guys are rough, rough, rough. They're like little cheese cutters there for your thumb. Polish those off a little bit. Maybe knock the edges off of some of these jimping spots and then radius this a little bit. You could do a little work on this knife and have a keeper forever and have a great, great, great knife. I highly recommend this knife. You just cannot go wrong with this knife. And I certainly would prefer this knife to use or carry because of the way the blade is done on it. Now, it is not super heavy in the tip like this, and I'm saying compared to this behemoth. This is not. I've tried to use it for cutting, this just is, I don't know, it's not usable. It's a fun knife though. It's a nice knife, it's high quality. This knife though, it's a little shorter blade. Not by much, but it's a nice grind on this knife, and this thing cuts and slices and does all kinds of stuff. This is a great knife with a great blade, this Bowie blade. So it's a nice slicer, everything about it. It's ground nice, everything is finished on the knife, nice. It is just a great piece. So this is the main thing I'm looking at today. This is considerably less money than this knockoff. It does have the common hinge pivot pin. These guys are raised. They're not quite right. The hardware on these two knives is not the same as far as these. These are perfectly countersunk and they look like they're very nice quality. These are just little button heads, and they're not sunk below it. The G10 is pretty nice on this, although it's a little shiny. But it's nice. It's well done. This is titanium. You can tell by the weight. If you had this much knife in stainless, it would be ridiculously heavy. I do not believe that this is, I guess I could get a magnet on it, but we know this one's titanium. They're the same weight almost exactly. So I believe this is all titanium, and it's listed as titanium. The action on the thing is nowhere near. Now I haven't loosened this or anything, and I'll tell you a reason why I haven't adjusted. One is I wanted to review it first, just like it came out of the box. The jimping on this one is much smoother and is just right, I think. And the flipper on this one is a little more rounded than on this guy. If you can tell that one is sharper than the other. Like there's some oil or something there. I think it's the angle. This one kind of leans forward and points this direction, whereas this one's almost straight up and down. That helps a little bit. It hasn't been used much. The lock on it is very tight and is kind of a little difficult. You also can't get your finger in there. It's not radiused enough. I think it should have been radiused a little more to get your finger in there. So I push on it. It's a little tight. The edges and everything on this thing are done pretty well. It's got a little bit different type of, you can tell the clones and the Wild Boars from these two screws here, as opposed to this is kind of how the Hinderer is done with the way they did the detent and everything in here. This is different, and this is the little insert piece. The lock on the blade seems to be done pretty well. Here's the main complaint I have about the knife. This is a good quality knife, there's no doubt about it, and it costs considerably less than the Kevin John. But even as tight as it is, you should be able to see me. Yeah, you can see that blade moving. There's a lot of side, not a lot, there's some side-to-side play there. So if I try to tighten that out, of course the action is going to get tighter and worse on it, because it is, as you go through it, it is pretty, it's pretty thick here. So it will, you know, the detent is not bad on it. It is even difficult to flip with your wrist, and then it's, unless you get up high on the lock, it's a little bit of a stiff lock. I'm going to probably take this knife apart and see what I can do on the inside of this thing to fix that, and I'll also try to wear it in a little bit. I'm going to keep this knife, I do believe, for a while. But other than that, now the front to back play, let's see, not really got any front to back play. So it's side to side play. We'll see if any of that comes out of it. The blade is pretty well centered on both of these guys. And so that's kind of what I have to say about these guys. I think they both need some, this guy needs to be polished up right here. It, well, that's actually, got that one that time. Both of them could use a little polishing. The jimping on the Wild Boar is a little bit, is smoothed out, I think, right. This one's pretty rough. It's got a little cheese cutter action there on it. I think they need to be, you know, if you're wearing gloves, it's perfect. And I've got this little finger guard on here, and it deploys and flips fast. I would definitely recommend the Kevin John version over this if you can figure out whether you're getting the right Kevin John. And there's a thing called, I think I bought this from a place, both of these maybe. I think I bought both of these from a guy named Sam Liu on AliExpress, Kevin John online shop. So you can do a search for Hinderer and XM-18 and that kind of stuff and probably find him. They have good quality knives and they carry a lot of these Kevin John stuff. That's the other thing is I would search for is Kevin John and Triumph. This is Kevin John Triumph. Triumph Precision. Very nice knives. No complaints there about any of these really. Each one of them is, you know, for what it does and what it is, they're all good knives. This one is the low end of the price point. I forget what it is, but you know, it's around $40 or $50, I think, somewhere around there. This one's like expensive. It's relatively speaking, it's like 130 something, 135. It's extremely good and it's worth every penny. And then, of course, you know what this one is. And the only issue I have with it is that, you know, I just don't think the blade's really that good for much. There is probably something you can do well with this blade. I just probably don't do it. This knife, though, that is a great blade. It's not too long. I mean, the blade, it's titanium. It's not super heavy for what it is. You can slice things. You can cut things. I mean, it is just that's a nice shaped blade and nice ground blade. This Sponto is probably not bad either. It's a little thicker. You can see it's thick. Let me go over the blade a little bit on this. One thing I will notice is that my 4K doesn't focus near as well as it does in regular HD. No logos on it, other than the fake CTS HP. The Hinderer on it, this is a etch, probably done with a laser or an acid, as opposed to the Kevin John, which is, you know, basically either CNC'd or stamped in there. I mean, it's, you know, that's first class. Show you the standoffs on both. They're both good. The Wild Boar's on the top. They're both good. I would say they're a little more substantial on the Kevin John on the bottom. The clips are about the same. So if you have any comments or questions about these two guys right here, feel free to post them. Let me know how I don't have a 4K, I've got a 4K monitor, but I don't have a 4K video computer for it yet. That'll probably be in a little while. So let me know how the 4K looks on this if you have something that you can view the 4K. I'm kind of curious. I thought I would do these things in 4K for a little while and see how they turn out. Thanks for watching. Bye.